Okay, Mr. Boone.
Okay, good afternoon. We're going to call to order the work session to set the agenda for next week's board meeting for March 2021. Roll call, please.
Are we doing roll call? I don't have the sheets.
Yeah,
for
we do.
roll call.
We do roll call on this, Joanne.
Sorry, Steph didn't leave me any roll call sheets.
Oh, okay.
Let's want to just start with the first. Let's start with our opening, Mr. President. Then we could do roll call per each committee.
Okay.
So she could get her, Joanne could get herself together and get sheets together.
Okay, Mr. Mahalik, the floor is yours.
Good, thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. I guess good afternoon, members of the Board of Education, members of our community, the public. Thank you so very much for joining us on this March 11th, 2021. One of the most beautiful days that we've had in a long, long time. So I hope everyone is doing well, safe, and thank you for giving up some of your beautiful day to join us. I just would like to mention quickly, we are in phase 4 of our return plan. I have our building administrators, Mr. Sarah and Mrs. Gregory on with us this evening. They are reporting everything is going very well. They do an excellent job. They have prepared in the beginning of the year when we came in October, and they did again for this time. So understanding things are going great. It's great to see the kids, even through the masks. We know that that they're happy to be here with us. We have students who have chosen to remain at home, and their families are indicating that things are going very well on that end as well. And for those kids, they are our students, and we are going to continue to communicate with them. If we have any extracurricular activities, any activities at all, with social distancing in mind, they are part of our district, and they will be a part if they so choose to be a part of them. So thank you to phase 4. We are preparing now for the return of our secondary students. We know we remain in the substantial rate of community infection. So we are hoping that this Friday we return to moderate, and then we are going to wait the 2 weeks as it is mandated. And then we should be seeing our students. We will be seeing our students on April 6th in grades 7 to 12. And we are so anxiously awaiting for that as well. We still, we still have a lot of disease in our area. Things are getting better. The vaccination rollout has been tremendous, but we still have to take this very, very serious. We still have to social distance. We still have to practice all those very smart hygiene techniques that we have been practicing for the last year. And it is a year to the date tomorrow that we've closed our schools. So to the community, I thank you. I know how difficult this has been on you and continues to be on you. And I understand the frustrations, and I do hope when we get back to the point of full return, that our relationships could also mend as well, because you mean a lot to me. And I know I've had to make some very difficult decisions, but all of them have always been for the betterment of our students, our families, your loved ones, my loved ones, and this amazing, beautiful community that we live in. With that, I want to announce that this coming week, next Monday, we will be vaccinating the remaining members of our staff, our full staff, which includes bus drivers, van drivers, and every single person that is a part of this district who wishes to be vaccinated. Again, we can't, nor would we ever want to direct that. It's a personal decision. But there are a great deal of us that will be fully vaccinated through the efforts of our intermediate unit with the governor of Pennsylvania, putting teachers as a priority That will be taking place this weekend and this Monday. Now, with that, I'm going to have to inconvenience our families one more time, and I really apologize, but next Tuesday is going to be a full virtual day. So we will not be in person. And I said to my staff that they can post assignments to their platform. I'm doing this because I know that the after effects could make it very, very difficult for our staff, our teachers and our paraeducators, our maintenance, our bus drivers to come to work that day. And instead of risking not having a properly staffed district for the day, I am going to be calling a full virtual day for that Tuesday. So please understand, it's my decision. I know that this may inconvenience again, but moving forward, I think we're going to be in a very good position with, again, a great majority of our staff vaccinated. So please know, and we will put out a message as well, that next Tuesday, we will be full virtual day of learning for our students. There will be work, it will be meaningful, it will be content driven, but we will be full virtual and on demand. I also want to share with the community that the great folks at the Crestwood Pharmacy will be having a vaccination clinic this Sunday. Now, this is not open to the public, although it will be serving our public. Okay, they have a waiting list of people. They have been, they've received a lot of doses. I'm not sure exactly the amount, but it will be a lot. And it will be taking place here this Sunday, 8 to 4 at our campus. I share this with you because you can't show up here and get your vaccination. I apologize, but if you're on that list, you'll be hearing from them. But I share this because we are looking for some volunteers. So if there are some people that maybe have some time to volunteer, this is a great undertaking. I know that our staff here will be helping in any way that they can. We're going to do all we can to make this a very successful day for our community. And again, with the community getting, up towards, I think, 1,000 shots this Sunday, and then our staff being fully vaccinated, we should be, again, such a much more safe community and school community. And moving beyond that, I really hope there's going to be very little disruptions to our district. And I'm anticipating a full 5-day return this year at some point. We're going to discuss that in the near future. I want to first get back our secondary students and then, make that decision, soon after. So again, I thank everyone for their support. I will have another very important message at the end of this, the end of our committee meetings. But at this point, I yield back the floor to our board president, and let's begin the operations of our district. Mr. Boone.
Mr. Boone, do you want me to take roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Boone?
Present.
Mrs. McGovern?
Here.
Mr. Brogna?
Present.
Mr. Swank?
Here.
Ms. Haddix?
Here.
Mr. Costello?
Here.
Ms. Spath?
Here.
Ms. McCurdy?
Here.
Ms. Bibla? At the moment, 8 members present.
Thank you. At this time, we will start our committee reports. First one up, Human Resources. Mrs. McGovern.
Okay, I will be seeking a motion to approve the minutes of the February 11th Human Resource Committee meeting.
Second, Mr. Swank.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, as of today, I don't have any items to report on for next week's regular board meeting. And this is a first.
There will be, I'm not sure if it'll be under human resources or under financial planning. There are some members of the district who were inappropriately placed pay-wise. So that, just so the public knows and the board knows, there will be some additional things there for next week's meeting. They're still working out the final numbers in our business office.
Okay, well, if there's nothing else, then I adjourn.
Okay. All right. And what is our next one in order here? Policy, Mr. Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. And as you can see, I'm in my car. I got bounced out of my house internet a couple of times, so I apologize to the community that I'm here with this, but we'll make the best out of it, the best that we can. So the first item up is for a roll call. Myself, I am here. Ms. Spath,
I'm here.
Ms. McCurdy.
Here.
Excellent. I'll be making a motion, item 3, to approve the minutes of the policy committee for February 11th, 2021. I so move. Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. The first item that we will have for approval and to move on to the board agenda for next week, so I'll need a motion and approval to move that over, is going to be item 4. This is our policy reading and adoption. Okay, this is our second reading and adoption of items 103, 104, 146.1, 309.1, 334, 340, and 832. And then we'll also be having a second reading, but moving to a third reading in items 203, 218.3, 247, 249, and 252. Does anyone on the committee or the board have any questions or comments in regards to these items? Anything from the community?
No, Mr.
Hearing
Costello.
none, then thank you. I will make the motion to move item 4A and B to the agenda for next week. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll move that item over.
Who was
Some
the
policy
second?
note-
Who seconded that?
I believe it was Kim.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
Thank you. Down to item 5, our policy notice. This has been on our notice for 2 months, and it's in front of Attorney Dean and Mr. Mahalik. They're fine-tuning exactly the role again. We were notified about this in November, that PSBA has changed some of their guidelines. That's going to require board action because we will have to retire and amend several of these items. It'll be very simple, but we want to make sure we do this very directly, clearly. It's more of a administrative process than it is really a board process, but we will have board action on those when they are presented. Item 6.
Mr.
these were-
Costello,
Yes.
I have a question on item 5.
Sure.
Apparently they are combining administrative, which is the 300s, professional, the 400s, and support, which is the 500s. Is it only for these items listed on the agenda, or are they doing it for the entire thing? Because I got into a discussion with our professional staff, and I was quoting 311, but there's a 311, 411, let's say 511, all pertaining to the same thing. Are they all going to be combined, or are some of these going to be kept separate?
These items were specifically given to us to PSBA that needed to be adjusted. So they reviewed our manual. As of January, we had them do a full review of the manual, and these were the ones they pulled out that need to be changed due to their change in this administrative policy. So those other items, Barry, to answer that question, do not need to be adjusted, just these specific ones they gave to us.
Okay, so there still will be a 300, 400, 500 on some
That's correct.
items. Okay, thank you.
That's correct.
Thank
Yep,
you.
you're welcome. Any other questions on item 5? Moving to item 6, these were the policies that were approved last month by the Board of Education, and they are being moved over into our policy manual from draft to active status, and PSBA is actively fine-tuning all the font and the text and making sure that all the legal citations are there. That should be done probably takes no board action, just as an update. And finally, we have item 7, which Mr. Boone provided the committee with an article based on Act 10 of 120, which changes safety policies as regards to sexual assault. I did pass this on to PSBA as well as our solicitor, and we believe that all of those adjustments have already been finalized in Section B of item 4, discipline of student convicted adjudicated as sexual assault. Those updates were already provided to us by PSBA, but because we received the article, our solicitor is going to do a double check to make sure they're up to date, and PSBA feels that those are already in the reading process for us to adopt, and those items will be adopted next April board meeting. So I think we are covered on that, but we're going to do an extra double check because the actual law did not come into play until early, I think January 3rd or something like that. So since the law didn't formally come into effect, we're just double checking that PSBA, when they launched that new policy, had all those changes up to date. Any other questions on policy from the board or the community?
No, Mr. Excel.
Okay, and then with that being said, then I will adjourn the policy meeting. I truly apologize if I bounce in and out. I've been in and out the meetings all day long, so I apologize if I miss any more meetings, but I'll try my best to stay on. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Academic programs. Anna did not join us yet. Mrs. McGovern.
I will be seeking a motion to approve the minutes of the, what are we on? The academic program committee meeting of February 11th.
Second. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? There being none, there's nothing to move. We will accept it. And there's nothing for next week's agenda.
Mrs. McGovern, may I just add one quick thing here?
Sure.
Thank you so much. I just want to again announce to our community and our students that we have this Why Teach tutoring program that we have launched. We have right now about 30 of our students set to tutor, and I have a tremendous amount of people just constantly asking, our students asking if they could become tutors. So to our students, yes, we are still taking, we are still allowing students to sign up to be tutors. And in addition to that, on tomorrow, Mrs. Foster will be sending out an email to our families and our students who would like to begin the tutoring process. It's a pretty amazing application that we are going to be launching. It's something that I'm proud to say our athletic director found for us as he was looking for something to get his players engaged in community service. And it was so good that we said, let's roll this out to the entire district. And our students have really responded. So to those students that are still interested, you can still sign up. You send myself an email, send Mrs. Foster, Mr. Gorham, Mr. Heitzelman, or even Mr. Ambosi. Let us know that you are that you are interested, and we will take you through a training session. And tomorrow, at some point, we will be putting out information on how to now begin to access those tutors. So thank you so much, Mrs. McGovern.
Are there any questions from the committee?
Uh,
Are there any questions from the other board members?
Yes, this is probably best addressed to Ms. Foster. Where are we going forward on the Physiology Bio 2 course? I know I had a discussion with you, and we seem right now to be teaching both of those within one course. And I know scheduling's coming up. So I'm not talking about the past, but are there plans to rename the course going forward? And those students that feel the need for a separate physiology course, we can still work that out. But where are we in that process?
Well, I think I could probably answer that best because we are still, we are definitely, the beginning discussion, because we know how much anatomy was taught in that Bio 2 course, that renaming it was the steps we were going to take. But that's not probably going to satisfy the needs of our students. So we are going to engage in further discussion. We have not had that discussion yet. That will be happening. Mr. Boone, but we will do that. We need to bring our department in again and again, look at the course and see how we could expand that offering to our students. But a lot of our students have had Bio 2 and are still looking to even have more of the anatomy piece of that. So those discussions are ongoing. I just have not had the opportunity to get with Mrs. Foster this week, but that will be something that is a priority for next week.
Mr. Mahalik, when will course selections begin?
So Mrs. Foster, you could probably, or Mr. you could probably take that.
They're working on scheduling sheets as we speak to, as you may recall, in 9th grade, there's a set of core courses that you take, and then there's the electives that are available for 9th grade. The same goes for 10th, 11th, and 12th. The guidance counselors are tweaking those scheduling sheets to make certain that it matches with the few new courses that we've offered. And we'll be rolling those out both in virtual classes as well as face-to-face when we're back in the building. And that process is almost ready to roll as we speak. The kids will be having conversations with their guidance counselors shortly, most typically in their social studies classes. And then, like I said, it will follow up in class when we're here back in the building in April. And I expect our incoming 6th graders into 7th grade are also meeting with Mr. Sorber to get that transition started. So we're well underway.
Will these new courses be offered to them at that time?
The new courses that we've already approved, the business law and the social media sports marketing classes, are part of that process. The anatomy class is something that we're going to need to put our boots on the ground, Mr. Mahalik, pretty quickly and get that moving. I know that the biology department has reworked the course description in the course guide so that it's very clear which pieces are anatomy and physiology and which pieces are entomology, which is the plant side. So those things have already been tweaked. It's just a matter of where we're headed with anatomy. That's the last piece.
Are there any questions from the public?
No, Mrs. McGovern.
Well, then I'll adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Blanchard, what's next there? Okay. Technology, Mrs. McCurdy.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. I'm seeking a motion to approve the minutes for February 11th, 2021. I so move.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Costello?
I tried to, can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
I'm sorry. Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. It's okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll approve those minutes. We don't have anything set to move to the agenda. but I was hoping, Mr. Blanchard, are we still waiting on any Chromebooks at this time?
No, Mr. McCurdy, we have received everything that we ordered so far.
Great. And have you heard any feedback on the Promethean boards at all?
Yes, we have obviously K through 6 are using them currently. So far, everything's going well. I mean, the transition should be relatively easy for them since the hookups and connections are very similar to what they had before. It's just on a new, brighter, more mobile, nicer board. Going to make some adjustments to sizing for like, you know, the older kids who might have trouble seeing once they're in the classroom. So we're working on that now. But so far we've gotten a lot of positive feedback because I think a lot of the struggles they had with those old boards now with them being gone is making a huge difference.
That's very good to hear. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, seeing none. Any questions from the community?
No, there's not.
Okay. Well, I move to adjourn.
Thank you. Positive behavioral intervention, Mrs. McGovern.
I'm making a motion to approve the minutes of the February 11th Positive Behavior Intervention Committee. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And it doesn't look like there's anything for the agenda next week, so I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you. Next. Physical plant and grounds, Mrs. Haddix.
Good afternoon. I'll call roll. Mr. Costello,
Here.
Mr. Brogna.
Here.
I will be seeking approval of the minutes from the February 11th meeting. I so move. Can I have a second?
Second, Brogna.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Under the recommend moving for the following March 18th agenda, I have 2 items listed. I do not think either are ready to move forward. The first one, I will just, as a discussion point, I think we really need to do the boiler replacement this summer. We have had some additional failures on the boiler system. And if we do not address it during the summer, we put ourselves in a very difficult situation if we have a major failure during the heating season. What I'm recommending is to look for a proposal that breaks this out from the ESCO project and do strictly the boiler project because the boilers are beyond their useful life. If we would wait and do it during a heating season, there would be costs of an emergency boiler, waiting for approximately 1 to 2 months on a lead time for the new boilers. So I think it would be important to do that. So what I would like to do is seek a proposal from local vendors and through the CoStars program. Is there anyone that has questions or comments about that proposal?
My hope is that we move extremely fast on that because summer will be here before we know it. And if we get the proposals back and we need a special board meeting to push that through so that we can make sure the work gets done this summer, please let us know and we'll schedule a special board meeting if needed. I think that's a priority to get that thing moving.
Mr. Boone, my hope would be is that we will have something to present in the April board meeting that will give us about of a 2-month window to receive all the parts, supplies, materials necessary for the project. The type of boiler that I am recommending are very compact, small boilers. We do not need cranes or anything like that. For the people that are familiar or not familiar with where the boiler room is, it's basically landlocked by the school. So the types of boilers that are currently in use at the school, if we would use something similar, they would have to be craned into the courtyard and put together in pieces in the room. The ones that I'm proposing would be small enough where we could roll them through the doors where the admin area is, up the ramp, and they would be small enough to fit through the man door and then down the steps of the mezzanine and put in place. So a much easier install than what's currently in place. So I think the summer timeframe is extremely doable.
Thank you.
The next item is recommending a computerized work order system. I have sent the names of the systems that I recommend based on ease of use, and also the cost of those programs. I think they're quite important with all of the new equipment that the school has received at the elementary schools and in the middle school, keeping track of preventative maintenance programs, filter changes, maintenance of generators, and all the HVAC systems. I think that would be really important tool. It would also allow teachers to be able to request work to be done electronically. It would be able to track those work order requests. So I think this is more discussion again, and hopefully once Damien from his IT expertise and Scott from the expertise of being able to track work and complete those work tickets through the computer system. I'm hoping that by next month, those two individuals will be able to give their opinion on what program we would go to. Any questions or comments?
Mrs. Haddix, this is Jim Brogna. I first wanted to ask, how long would it take upon approval of the computerized work order system to have it implemented?
I think typically it's a 1 month kind of a switchover.
Right.
I do not believe we have a computerized work order system at that moment, so it might be even quicker since we'd be possibly starting from scratch without having to transfer any files over.
Okay.
And some of the ballpark prices were as low as, possibly $5,000 a year for these programs.
I just had another comment and or question on as it relates to the boiler, because in a way these are intertwined. The lack of maintenance for a prolonged period of time on those boilers were why we were in crisis last year, correct?
Surprisingly, yes, there was some, for many years, they were not given the attention that they probably should have gotten, but they certainly have outlived what their useful life would be, even if they were better maintained. Okay. One of the things that is critical to chilled water and hot water systems is chemical treatment, which had not been done for many, many years. So that would be another part of the project that we would invest in to make sure that the new equipment is taken better care of.
And then just an observation as it relates to the boiler replacement and the recommendation. Again, I echo Mr. Boone's recommendation in an expeditious manner to move along, because we don't want to be in the fall where we're still working on this. And having said that, I can't think of a better capital investment because we live in a mostly winter, fall seasons with our school district, to making sure that we have proper heating so we don't have to shut down school next year. But in particular, the fact that the willingness and interest to work with local vendors that could provide not only a better boiler, but also a more cost-efficient product. So again, I'm fully in support of these initiatives.
And that's a great point. Currently, the boilers that are running, when they were brand new, they were about 80% efficient. So, now 20 plus years later, they're probably closer to a 60% efficiency. The boilers that I'm recommending are 90%, which is a top of the line boiler. You really can't get more efficient than 90%. So right away, we will start realizing savings on our utility bills. So the return on investment of these boilers is very fast.
Thank you.
Hey, Stacy, this is Scott. I was reading earlier. You also mentioned that there's a lot of other school districts using these type of boilers at this point in time.
Yes. From my understanding, Mountain View has them, Hazelton has them, West Scranton has them. Also, the University of Scranton has them, and Marywood. So, Scott, that was something also we can take a road trip, and so you can actually put your eyes on them to get a better feel for them in person.
Sure. Yeah, it sounds great.
Is there any questions from the rest of the board? Any from the public?
No, Mrs. Haddox.
Okay, then I will ask all in favor to adjourn.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize, Mrs. Haddox. Something just came in as we said that.
Yes.
Amanda Madrovsky, does the work order system provide a way to track maintenance on capital equipment? Seems like we have a lot of property fall into disrepair.
Well, I think that would be one of the benefits of the work order system. It would track all both on-demand work orders, so say light bulbs out, a toilet not flushing, sink leaking, but it would also schedule and provide like a tickler to the staff that filters need to be changed quarterly, that oil changes of the fleet vehicles. So yeah, it serves two purposes. It does everything for on-demand work, but it would also track, trend, and help prioritize and manage workflow for all of our equipment that we have.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Ms. Haddox?
Yes.
Are you recommending that those two motions be moved to March 18th then?
They're actually, they were more discussion. We're not ready for them to move. So needs to be moved to the agenda. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next is our Transportation Committee, Mrs. Spath.
Thanks, Barry. I'm making a motion to approve the minutes for the February 11th committee meeting. I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's no agenda items that will be moving forward next week for the meeting or discussion items. If there's any questions, I'll pause briefly for that. Otherwise, we can adjourn.
Mrs. Spath, if I may, can I just, to our audience, and our public, may I just explain that if you have any concerns with our transportation, if there's something that you do not believe we're following safety guidelines with the pandemic, I ask you to please reach out to me. We have gone over many times with our drivers and with the company to make sure that windows are open, proper ventilation is happening in the buses, that seats are assigned every day to the same students, that there is social distancing, masks are worn, drivers have masks on. And I just want, if there's any concerns from anyone in our community, please to reach out to me or to your building administrator, of course, at any time so it can be addressed immediately. Thank you, Mrs. Beth.
Thanks, Bob. I'm going to move to adjourn. Thanks.
Thank you. Financial planning, Mr. Brugna.
Thank you, Mr. Boone. I will first have roll call. Mr. Schwank,
Here.
Mrs. Haddix.
Here.
I'll be seeking the approval for the minutes from our February 11th committee meeting. I so move.
Second.
Do we have a second? Mr. Schwank, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. On item 4, recommend moving the following to our March 18th, next Thursday board meeting, items 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I want to be specific about items 3 and 4. These are strong recommendations for the board support and the community support, both because they're important initiatives and it shows our support of the statewide initiative with charter school funding reform, as well as equity, inclusion, and diversity. Mr. Bard, do you have any comments that relate to the Financial Planning Committee agenda?
No, I do not. No.
Okay, do we have any questions from the committee?
Yes, Jim, Randy here.
Yes, sir.
Pete, could you elaborate on number 1 in parentheses reduction in the support revenue?
Yeah, so the budget that we're approving is just the overall support that we give to the Luzerne Intermediate Unit is not related. Am I on mute? Okay, no, I'm not on mute. Is not related to the overall services that we purchase from the intermediate unit. So it's kind of different. It's a little bit separate from what we do and what we use for the special education students that we purchase the services.
So
this is just.
We're realizing a savings this year of $4,000. What's the total?
Let me look it up for you really quick right now. I think it's something around $16,000, I believe.
16?
Yeah, it's not a lot. It's not a lot of money over the course of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big percentage. Every district got a savings on it. I'm pulling it up right now. Just give me a second. It's not a large amount of money that we're.
Purchase services is the big number with BIU.
Right. Yeah. Actually, yeah. It is exactly. It's $16,580. Okay. And last year we paid $20,612.
Thank you.
So for the that's for the Crestwood School District. Other districts pay more depending upon their size and their.
Yeah. Okay.
But the big thing for the IU is the purchase services that we purchase from them.
Sure. That's all. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the community, Mr. Blanchard?
No, Mr. Broda.
Discussion items. Obviously, we had our first budget meeting earlier this month. I'm grateful for everyone's participation. We'll be looking to have another upcoming public budget meeting, potentially, or we will announce, obviously, once the board accepts the date, the first Monday of each month. And whether or not we end up being in person remains to be seen. It might be the case next month, but that's one of the discussion items, that we continue to have public budget meetings to talk about the challenges, the financial challenges, the opportunities, what may occur in terms of either a tax increase or no tax increase, what the effect on that budget is, and so that all community has an opportunity to participate. Any comments about the discussion items?
Not that particular item. However, last month we discussed ESS, which is a a firm that supplies substitutes education in the education field only. And Mr. Bard informed me that he's still working on numbers. We have to make some comparisons before I think we can make a decision. And hopefully we can come to a conclusion next month where we want to go with that. But he's looking at how much we spent on paying our staff, our professional staff, to cover classes when we did not have enough substitutes. We are also I think, going to discuss other options of the possibility of bringing in daily substitutes, but for the entire year, bring in a few and say, you're here every day and we'll place you as we need you. And we can compare that to what we have budgeted, what we've been using in the past, what class coverage has been, and the proposal to us from ESS. So I think maybe in April we'll be able to move on that. Just want to let everyone know that Mr. Bard is working on those numbers.
Yes, we'll have them. I'm working with Joanne on getting the numbers on the comparison for when the teacher covers and uses their planning period to cover, because they do get a stipend or a payment to cover when they use their planning period. So we're just looking at that as well, because that does have a cost effect on the budget for that. So we're looking at a bunch of different things. Like Mr. Boone said, there is a cost to perhaps having a daily substitute come in. So we're looking at a bunch of different things, and we'll have some sort of a breakdown to be sent out, hopefully before the financial planning committee, so that you guys will have a fair understanding as to what's going on. Then we could discuss it at this meeting in April. So we'll go back to number one. I like to advertise the budget meeting so we don't have to advertise one meeting at a time, because there is a cost to putting it in the newspaper every time there's a meeting. So I would like to say, if you guys come to some kind of an agreement or consensus among the board members as to when they can attend. So Mr. President, if you will, lead the discussion on this. I mean, would the first Monday work for all the board members, and would the location be something like, if we could, if you guys want to meet in person, let's back up for a second. The first Monday in April, I believe, is going to be a challenge, because I believe that is somewhere around Easter, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it's Easter Monday. So that's the day that the schools are closed. So we might have to make it that Tuesday, the 6th, where our secondary kids come back into the school. So that might be, a day where you want to have it in person in the auditorium, where you can maintain social distance and keep everybody safe. Our staff will be fully vaccinated by then. I'm not sure, if you guys want to have it in person there. That's something you guys can kick around if you want. But I just like to have the meetings, just the schedule set and advertised, the location and the time, so that we can get it all on the same page, and then move forward with perhaps 2 meetings in May, the first Monday in May, and then perhaps a second meeting as the last Monday, not the last Monday in May, but the last Tuesday in May, just so that's not the final budget. And then, use the financial planning meeting as another discussion point for the budget as well, so that we can set the budget meetings up and move forward with the budget. But that's just my thoughts, and I'm just looking for the board as a whole and the financial planning committee committee's thoughts on it.
Yeah, Mr. Bard, my recommendation, if you would, I know you already identified what the challenges are the first Monday in April. If you have those dates that you had just identified, if you could share those in a group message with the board, that we could just make sure that everyone's aware of it. I know everybody's not even present right now, and then we'll make sure. So if it's this first Tuesday in April, and then the first Monday and second or third Monday, whatever, in May, if you could just send those dates so we could approve those, and then we could get one notification out. I agree with that. I don't think all the board's present and able to make a commitment right now.
Right. So I think that's probably what I'll do is I'll send it out to the entire board before the meeting on Thursday, and then you guys, it could be even a voting item to approve the meeting dates as an agenda item. But I'll leave it. We could add it even in the before we put out the final agenda on Thursday or on Monday. Before we put out the final agenda, I'll put it out to you guys and go from there with the locations, and you guys could edit or make the thought process on there and go from there.
Thank you.
Mr. Bard, I would recommend we not try for Tuesday, April 6th. We have a sort of a standing commitment with the professional staff for negotiations on Tuesdays. And we're skipping next Tuesday, going the following Tuesday, but even if we went every other Tuesday, it would also land on the 6th. So we may want to look at the 7th or 13th or something, but please do not put the 6th out there as an option.
All right, well, maybe the 12th then, the second Monday of April. But that would even benefit us a little bit better to get an in-person meeting as well. So that would be even better to get us back in the in-person structure. So, because I know that's what our ultimate goal is. So let's, I'll send out the meeting dates as a proposal, and then you guys will make the final decision. I personally am available anytime you guys need me to be. So you guys let me know what you want, and I will make sure I do it. So that's all I have.
So those will go through Mr. Brogna then, and he'll send them out to the rest of the board.
Yeah, I think we're looking at if it is a continued Monday, April 12th, Monday, May 3rd, and Monday, May 17th. So we'll stay with the Mondays, and obviously they're alternating, and we'll put that message out to the board. And then once we get board acceptance and those that could participate, the majority, then we'll make a we'll put it on the agenda next week, and then we'll also get it out to the community.
Okay, good.
If there's no further questions about the discussion items or the items, I'll be seeking a motion to move items 1 through 4 for a board vote next Thursday.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If there's no further discussion or questions from the community, I'll be seeking adjournment for our committee.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brogna. Okay, co-curricular, Mr. Swank, and I believe there were a number of additions that came out to that this afternoon.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Boone, call to order the co-curricular committee meeting of the Crestwood School District. Roll call, please. Mr. Swank, I am here. Mrs. McGovern.
Here.
Mrs. Haddix.
Here.
Thank you. Next, we will approve the minutes of the February 11th, 2021 co-curricular committee meeting. I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. McGovern. All in favor, say aye.
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 Seeing none opposed, the minutes are approved. Item number 4, recommend moving the following to the voting session for next week's board meeting. Mr. Boone, as you alluded to, there are several names for coaching positions listed with their salaries. We don't have that available right now. I would assume that we're going to move those names forward based on the recommendation of Mr. Ambosi, our athletic director. And for next week, when we present the agenda online, we'll have those names and numbers, if that's okay to do. Mr. Mahalik, are you available?
I am, thank you.
So we'll add those names next week to the voting agenda for the.
We will, yes.
Okay, very good.
Do you want me to read names and salaries?
Do we need to do that, Bob?
No, we could do that next week at the vote.
Next week, and Joanne, they'll be on the agenda and listed on the website 48 hours prior.
Okay.
We should be fine, thank you. And as far as open discussions, Mr. Mahalik, you had some issues you wanted to discuss?
Mr. Blanchard, are there any questions on any of the committees?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I got the list of like 5 sports where we are approving coaches. There are 2, Joanne, maybe you can make a note, that are not on that sheet that should be added. We will be at the board meeting on Thursday hiring a boys soccer coach for the fall of 2021. We can leave the name blank. And because of a misinterpretation of the collective bargaining agreement, we have a girls basketball coach, Alex Plaviak, $4,199. She was not paid this season and should have been. Contract calls for one coach for each team. Only 4 coaches got paid. There are 5 teams, 7th, 8th, 9th JV varsity. So we'll add Alex Plaviak as girls basketball coach for this past season, which we just completed, at $4,199, and we'll make sure that the boys soccer coach position is also listed there. They are not on the copy that I got.
Thanks.
$45.99,
$41.99.
$41.99.
Thanks, Barry.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mahalik?
Mr. Blanchard, any questions on any of the items?
No, Mr. Mahalik.
And we answered the question related to the picture day at Fairview on Tuesday being rescheduled, and Mr. Sayre.
Correct.
Someone did.
Okay, thank you so very much. I would like to read a very personal statement to my Board of Education, as well to our community. This email that I'm about to read is an email that I sent on November 12th of 2020 to the members of our Crestwood field hockey team. Dear student athletes of the Crestwood field hockey team, it is with tremendous emotion and after much thought, guidance, and evaluation of the current situation surrounding your team that I must inform you that I have made the decision to forfeit this Saturday's state playoff game. This decision is one of the most difficult ones I have made in my career because I know what this game means to you and the time, effort, and spirit you have into this season. In my heart, I know this is the right decision for the safety and well-being of you and your family. And I understand if you do not agree with this. I am sorry your season has to end this way. And I ask you to please stay united as a team and direct your disappointment at only me. No one person or act created this. We just ran out of luck with the spread of this terrible disease. This team, led by Coach Moratori, has had a year of amazing accomplishments, and no one, not even a pandemic, will take away the title you earned, district champions. I thank you for all the excitement you gave our community this year, and I wish you more of this success as you move forward. Sincerely, Mr. Mahalik. Mr. Swank, I share this letter with you this evening because during this past year, we have had a lot of very difficult days. We have made some really tough decisions that have impacted our students, our faculty, our families, and our community. That right there was one of my most difficult decisions, but yet probably the simplest decision I've ever made, because it was about keeping our student athletes and their families safe. I share this with you because once again, I find our district in a situation, and yes, it's dealing with COVID. And no, this time, my district does not have the direct exposure. The direct exposure, unfortunately, is affecting the team that we are scheduled to play this Friday evening. In a series of tweets that I followed last evening, the school district put out that 6 of their players had direct exposure. They put out that it happened the night before in a game. Very, very bad luck. It's all it is. We knew going into this year, if we were going to try this thing with sports, that we had to do everything we could to take mitigating risks and remove those factors out. And then we were going to do a lot of hope and a lot of wishing. This year, I have forfeited a state playoff game on our girls' field hockey team. I have quarantined our boys' basketball team on 4 occasions. I've shut down our wrestling program for nearly 20 days. I have told bus drivers and van drivers they need to quarantine for at least 14 days and sometimes longer because of their direct exposure. Staff members, custodians, those amazing, brave souls delivering lunches, the people that are delivering our biweekly produce market, we've had to quarantine them. We've had to quarantine our board president because of a situation. Every decision we made, we were transparent with our public, and we did it for the safety and well-being of our community. I am now told that the rules, guidance, recommendations that we have been following for a year apparently no longer apply, and that direct exposure does not mean you don't have that you have to quarantine, and that maybe because people had masks on, the players, they no longer have to quarantine, even if that mask was this or this, because we know it's very, very difficult to keep this on in any sporting activity. Our very first basketball game this year was against our friends and our rivals at Dallas. Both Dallas and our team had masks on. Maybe like this, maybe like this. The day following that game, I received a call very early informing me that a member of the team that we played the evening before had tested positive. Immediately brought together our pandemic team, who has been with me since May, who's made up of very respectful physicians from this area, as well as a person that has a master in public health. We got together, immediately contacted the Department of Health, as we have done every time in the past. And there was no decision to be discussed. There was no debate. There was no contact tracing. We knew that we needed to immediately quarantine. The Department of Health certainly explained that to us, nor they didn't need to, but they did. They concluded there is no ability to contact trace when you're playing such a contact sport as basketball, wrestling, football. There is no contact tracing if you've had extended exposure. The decision was easy. And for the 4th time, I had to tell our team, you need to now take this many days off. Throughout this season, as recent as 2 weeks ago, I had to tell a senior, a kid that I just adore, and he knows I do, I had to tell him, because of a situation, that he was masked, that he wore a mask the entire time in the classroom and was nowhere near the person that was positive, that he could not play his last senior home game. I thought those were the decisions that we were all going to make. I thought when I signed that assurance and sent it to the Department of Education that we were all going to do that, and that no game and that no event would ever come in to play when it was about the safety and well-being of our students. I am not trying to be over dramatic. My spirit is gone. My spirit is gone because I have tried to be as transparent with every single member of this community. And I've put out each Friday a dashboard to show you the effect that COVID-19 has had on us. And I thought that's what we were all going to do. I am now told that the Department of Health has cleared the entire team to play. And I can tell you, we want to play. I'm not a member of the team. I don't even will ever try to pretend that I know what it takes to play at that level. Our team wants to win on the floor. Our team wants to win with a face-to-face match. Now, I knowingly am putting those young men in a position with other players who I know have had direct contact, something that I have never, ever done before. And I plead with anyone that can get the Department of Health to tell me that what we are about to do is okay, that the decisions have changed, and that you now can play if you wore a mask, even if the mask was like this. Even if the mask was like this, please, I need someone to tell me that, because I am really out of answers. Mr. Schwenk, I thank you very much for your time. To the community, I thank them for allowing me to be personal. This has really, really challenged my spirit of this entire pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahalik. Appreciate those comments. Any other questions from the public or the board? Damien?
Oh, sorry, no, Mr. Swank.
Okay, at this time, we will adjourn the co-curricular meeting. Thank you. Mr. Boone.